A 4-0 day. The heater continues. We've been printing money over the last week. Let's see if we can keep the momentum going again today. This is the free three, and I've got 3 best bets on the way. Let's get into it.
I love it, Noble. I also love your YouTube videos. I watched them while I was gone. That was fire.
But getting paid because yesterday we had a full sweep. Mike going under, that was just icing on the cake. Why are we going to go in such a weak AFC South? Unless we have the NBA Blowout Association.
Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13 seconds.
Get it. When you hear the sirens, you know what that means.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
What is up, everyone? It is your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day and just try to get to the bag together and make that money. And you know what? I love mornings when we get to hit the horn, because if you're new to the channel and you don't know what the horn means that we swept the board yesterday and we needed that like air to start the month of March. That is just the type of momentum that we need to be building as we get into conference tournament and the NCAA tournament time. Hopefully we can keep that momentum going here. You can see real quickly here on my screen yesterday, up $300. Why? Because we went 4-0 on the day. Desmond Bain over 20.5 points. No sweat on that one. Portland at plus 130. We win that bet outright. I half hedged it, so I took team total and I took the money line just in case they weren't able to get it done. Well, they get them both done. And then Southern minus 2.5. Oh my goodness. This is why you guys got to tap into the live show, because I at first gave out 3.5 and then I said, you know what? I'm seeing some books have it at 2.5. Let's just buy the hook and let's get this done. Now, we probably shouldn't have actually needed the hook given the fact that Southern was up by more than 10 points in the first half, but they blew the lead and they were able to cover the 3-point spread that we needed. I'm sorry if you had the 3.5. But yesterday was an overall very good day for us here in the channel. You can see 3-0 yesterday, or excuse me, 4-0. Last 7 days we've been on a heater. Last 30 days we've been doing all right. Let's see if we can keep the momentum going in today's video. I do appreciate you guys for tapping in. And if you do comment on any of the videos, and this is what happens. If we sweep the board, I'm going to Venmo somebody some money. So this week's winner, or this sweep's winner, I should say, is going to be Mr. Ron Mux, bro. I shot you a DM on Twitter. Shoot me your Venmo, bro. I would love to take care of you. I appreciate all the love, support that you continue to show the channel. You comment on the live stream, man. I greatly appreciate it. And everybody else who's been watching the show, if you haven't been watching or if you're new, hit that subscribe button, hit that like bell for me. And you know what? We're just going to continue to grow. Drop a comment, and if we sweep the board again, somebody else is going to get paid. All right, guys? In today's video, real quickly, we're going to go through 3 best bets. 1 inside of the college basketball slate, 1 money line parlay. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Money line parlay. And then 1 NBA bet for you guys, all right? So we're going to cover both college and NBA. Let's get into it. Let's go to the big board now. As we pull up our screen here, give me 1 second. Let me pull up the screen. All right, there we go. Let's go and take a look at the college basketball slate that we have on deck today. Conference tournament time is here. We have teams that are playing multiple games, multiple days. I think we have the Atlantic Sun Championship or semifinals coming up. So a lot of great things for us to dive into and a lot of good games on. Dayton and St. Louis, still a lot to play for on the A10 there. We also got UNC, Virginia Tech. We've got VCU, Duquesne, Memphis, UTSA, Vermont, Albany, a lot of good games. Rutgers, Purdue. But the game that I'm going to be taking a look at, if we scroll up, is going to be a team that we've been backing here on the channel pretty consistently. I took them on Saturday. If you're not following us on the Action Network at Noble Living, I don't know what you're doing, because that's where we put all the picks and plays when we don't have a video. And I gave out Georgia plus 5.5 on Saturday. And I said that this is a bubble team. If we go to Joe Lunardi real quickly, you can see on the bubble, he has Georgia, oops, I zoomed in too much, as one of the last 4 buys. So if you lose 1 or 2 more games, you might be the last 4 in. If you have a team like North Carolina or Texas that picks up a key win inside a conference, they can become the last 4 in. Every single game matters. And now you're on the road against a South Carolina team that, yes, they were able to win a conference game and win pretty big in their last matchup, but I'm still not bought on them. Georgia still has a lot to play for at 18-11. Meanwhile, South Carolina is out of conference. conference. They're out of contention. They got to go on an historic run of all proportions in order to make the NCAA tournament, which I doubt is going to happen. And we're going to get Georgia on the road at good value today, and I'm going to lock them in on the money line to win 1 unit. Now, like I mentioned, Georgia is a bubble team, and it's that time of year where I'm facing or I'm taking bubble teams. I like this team. They're well coached by Mikey White, a very great young coach, and even though they struggle sometimes on the offensive side of the ball, the thing that they predicate their team on is not only defense, ranked 28th in defensive efficiency here, 27th in effective field goal percentage, but also this number here on the offensive side, the offensive rebounding. And when you have a team that is able to get multiple shots, multiple rebounds, just look like a team like Texas A&M. They can't score the ball for jack shit, but they're able to beat good teams and be competitive. Why? Because of the second chance opportunities and the fact that you're going to get to the free throw line. You can see they're ranked 31st in field goal free throw attempts, and they're going to hit them at a good rate. And if we look at the conference schedule here, they just beat Florida at home a week ago. People faded them against Texas, saying that this was a fade spot. They go into Texas and destroy them, laying 5.5 points. You could have taken them on the money line, and now you're giving me them a pick 'em against South Carolina. I think South Carolina has two conference wins, and they were able to pick up Arkansas. If there's a letdown spot here, it is South Carolina. It's not Georgia. South Carolina just beat Arkansas at home, and nobody really expected them to win that game, considering the fact that Arkansas is a bubble team in and of themselves, and Arkansas just seems to be folding. And it just makes sense to me that the team that's going to be let down here after you just won at home is South Carolina. So Georgia, we just saw them grab a road win against Texas. We've seen them, yes, struggle in conference on the road, but you know what? South Carolina is what you want before you go back home and you can pick up another quality win against Vanderbilt and get ready for the conference tournament time. I can't say that I have a ton of different numbers and things like that. We can look at South Carolina besides the fact that they suck in conference, but they're good defensively, but they struggle offensively. You can see this, 262nd effective field goal percentage, 294th in turnover percentage, 293 in three-point percentage, so they can't shoot threes, they turn over the ball, they don't shoot it at a high rate, and they don't even offensive rebound that well. So if you got two defenses that are basically going to cancel each other out, even though Georgia does have the better defense, I got to lean with the better offense and the better offensive players, and Georgia definitely has that. If you scroll down real quickly here, you can see they have a few different players. Deshaun Montgomery, you got Silas Damari, you got the freshman and Asal Newell, Blue Kane, the three-point stretch shooter. Like, bro, they've got a lot of different pieces. Georgia is one of those teams that is scary. They play hard. Their coach is invigorating. I like them. We're locking in Georgia. Must-win spot for them as they're still on the bubble here. That's what we're going to lock in for our first college basketball best bet. Now, our second pick, we're going to go to the NBA real quickly before we go to our moneyline parlay. And I've been doing pretty good on player props, I'm not going to lie, but I don't have any in today's video. If you do want some of the added player props that I'm going to drop, make sure you guys come to this action tab, follow us at Noble Living, and we will make sure that we get it. But the bet that I'm going to take a look at today is a team total, and two team totals have been doing fairly well for us. And as I scroll here, I kind of forgot what was the bet that I'm looking at. Oh, here we go. The Warriors and the Knicks. That's the game, of course. The New York Knicks are playing at home against the Golden State Warriors, and the Warriors, talking about an invigoration. Ever since Jimmy Butler joined that team, I mean, they've been looking stellar. Come on now. 33-28. Meanwhile, the Knicks are 40-20. If we scroll down here real quickly, we can look at real fast what the Warriors have been doing in their recent games. They were able to win last night at Charlotte 119-101, picking up the 13-point cover. They lost against Philly, but if Quentin Grimes didn't have a career-high game, they probably win that game. They beat Orlando. They beat Charlotte. They beat Dallas. They're covering these big spreads. I like the way the Warriors are playing right now. And a line that looks a little bit off, a little bit fishy to me, is if we scroll up here, is this number right here. The team total over 112.5. Let's go to Doink Sports real quickly and let's look at why we're going to be taking this bet. So if we look real fast, the Warriors in their last 10 games, they're averaging 121 points per game. And you're giving me a team total at 112.5? Okay, they've gone over this number in 8 of the last 10 games, including 119 last night, 119 against the Sixers, 121 against the Magic, 128 against the Hornets, 126 against the Mavs, 132 2 against the Kings. You can see it right here. The proof is in the pudding, okay? And if you want to see how they've looked on the road over the last 10 games, they've hit on 7 of the last 10. And if you want to get a little bit of a larger sample size, 9 of the last 15, that's still a 60% hit rate, and that's before the Jimmy Butler era. But since they've gotten Jimmy, this offense has been able to find it. They've been able to play more fluid and loose. Draymond is able to kind of move into his real kind of center position, having some help on the defensive side. Steph has been able to open up the floor shooting wise. And then when you look at the Knicks defensively, they are known for their defense historically, but this season has not been the same. If we go to team rankings real fast, we can see in terms of the most points given up per game, the Knicks are normally top 5, top 10 under Tom Thibodeau. But this year, top 15. They're giving up on an average 113 points per game. And it's not like they're much better at home than they are on the road. You can see they're giving up 112 points per game at home in comparison to 113 and a half on the road. So you don't really get that much defense from the Knicks. Yes, it might help out that Mitchell Robinson's working his way back into the rotation defensively, but he's all the way not there from a conditioning standpoint. And when you look at some of the recent game logs for the Knicks from their opponents, 7 of the last 10 opponents have gone over this number, including averaging 121 points per game. So although the Miami Heat went on this number and hooked at 112, the Grizzlies, they got 113, Celtics got 118, the Cavaliers erupted for 142, and then meanwhile the Knicks at home against the Hawks gave up 148, gave up 131 of Boston at home. So if you look at the home numbers, it does go down a little bit to 50%, but still a pretty good enough hit rate for me. And although the Warriors on the second night of the back-to-back, I think that's where we're getting value right now in betting in the NBA. A lot of times people stay off lines because, oh, it's the second night of a back-to-back, where they try to fade it. But for me, I think team totals are a great look on the second night of back-to-back, because if anything, you're going to lean on your offense more than leaning on your defense. And we know that this is a Knicks team that's not afraid to get into a shootout and try to go 130 to 140 points with you. And if there's a Warriors team that can do it, I think they can do it. If we go to the game overview real fast, the last thing I'm going to point out is the injury report. Jimmy Butler's expected to play today. He's not on the injury report as of right now, besides Gary Payne and Kuminga, so I do like that. And, you know, even if Karl Anthony Towns does play, I don't think it makes that big of a difference for the Knicks. Defensively, I don't think that they're the greatest. This is just too low of a total for me for the way that this Warriors team has been looking. Over 112 and a half is the team total for this Warriors. We're taking that as our second pick of the day. So 2 best bets down, 1 more left to go. Good morning, Day. Good to see you, fam. Good to see you, brother. We got 2 best bets down. Warriors team total, and we also got Georgia on the money line. Let's go back to the college basketball slate real quickly, and let's cook up our money line parlay of the day. Now, there's a few teams that still have a lot to play for, and we're going to break down what is going on in the conference standing standpoint. And I'm going to pull up a few specific teams that we're going to take a look at. This is the parlay for you guys, okay? All on the money line. Vermont, North Carolina, and VCU. Vermont is the main leg of the parlay. If you want to take them at -5.5, or now it's down to 4.5, be my guest. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm going to take Vermont here. And the reason why I like Vermont is if we go and look at some of the conference standings so far, what is going on? If we go to the American East, we can see that Vermont right now is 12-3. They're 1 game behind Bryant for the last spot in the conference, for like, you know, first place in the conference. I highly doubt they're going to catch Bryant. And the reason why I say that is Bryant has 2 games left. If we could see this real quick, they have 2 games left in conference, or excuse me, 1 game left against New Hampshire. And if we go back real fast and we see where New Hampshire is on the standings, you can see New Hampshire is all the way down here, 3rd to bottom team. So they probably are not going to lose. Meanwhile, Vermont, this is their last game of the regular season, so they're probably going to grab the win today and lock in that number 2 seed. But the reason why this is such an important game, and you might say, no, but why would they want to win this game when they have the 2 seed already locked up? Whether they lose or not, it doesn't matter. Well, 1, they could win and get a tiebreaker with Bryant, so that's still a little bit of an incentive. But the other thing that I'm looking at here is the actual bracket in the American East. Today is March the 4th, and if we go pull up the American East bracket real quickly and see how this takes a look, you can see here that the quarterfinals is on March the 8th. Then we've got the semifinals on March the 11th. And then we've got on Saturday, March the 15th is the championship. So basically, if they play today, their next game is not going to be until 4-5 games away, and the reason, or 4 or 5 days away, and the reason why that's so important is that's a lot of time to sit in between games, and you want to be able to stay fresh. You want to be able to stay ready. This is a very good Vermont team that's historically known for winning this conference, and they're going to give Bryant a run for their money, but they have to get there first. No better time for you to lock up the regular season, finish up your last tune-up game with getting a win. KenPom has this as like a 7-6 point win for Vermont. We're going to lay the the money line. If you want to watch how the line moves, if we can get it below 3.5 or at 3.5, I would snag that as well. Vermont wins this game. Now, the other legs of the parlay are other teams that need to win. On the road, North Carolina is at Virginia Tech. If we go back to Joe Lunardi here, we can see that his first 4 out, North Carolina is right here. So they still need to grab a few additional wins, or you just don't want any really bad losses. Virginia Tech on the road is not really the best of wins, but it's also not a very terrible, you don't want that loss on your resume, especially at this point in the season. So it's more of a just don't overlook it spot for North Carolina. We're taking them on the money line. If you want me to pull up KenPom real quickly, if you want to see a little bit more on the North Carolina numbers, I can kind of show you a little bit more about that. But the thing is, it's more of a fade on Virginia Tech, and the fact that North Carolina has won 5 straight games gives me a little bit more confidence here. KenPom has this as an 8-point win for them, and then obviously they go back at home against Duke to wrap up the regular season on Saturday. And you could see for this is Virginia Tech, even though they beat Syracuse in overtime on Saturday, they really probably should have lost that game. Syracuse kind of blew that game, in all honesty. They were up by like 15 points. And this North Carolina offense is way better than Syracuse. And this is a team that's 7-10 in conference. You can look at all the numbers here. They turn over the ball a lot, just not too much to go for there. The last bet that we're adding, but if you just want to do these 2 legs, minus 108, you can see that right there. That's good enough. Take that and go to the bank. I'm adding VCU because I can't help myself, and I just want the plus cheeky, and I just like the way I'm reading the board, and VCU should win. The reason why they should win? Let's go to this conference standings. Let's go look at VCU real quickly here in the A10. They are the number 1 seed at 14-3, but George Mason is right behind them at 13-3, and with 1 game to go. Excuse me, I said VCU was 14-3, they're 14-2. And George Mason has 2 games left, and so does VCU. VCU does play Dayton one more time. I'm pretty sure they do. I could be wrong. Let me scroll down here. Yeah, they play Dayton. So they cannot lose to Duquesne today, because George Washington, their last 2 opponents, I believe, are against, let's look that up real quickly. We can look up George Washington's final 2 opponents, sorry. Or George Mason, I should say, not George Washington. George Mason's last 2 opponents is LaSalle and Richmond. So if we go back to the conference standings real quickly, and we look where George Mason is, and then LaSalle, Richmond, bottom 3 teams. So if you're VCU, you got to assume that George Mason's winning out. And then you have 1 more game against Dayton. So for me, you got to win today, because if you lose today and you lose to Dayton, now you go from the 1 seed to the 2 seed. And you don't want that. And you definitely don't want to face Dayton again, as a 2-3 matchup when you could place Loyola, right? So for me, you want to finish off the regular season strong. You want to grab the dub. You're on the road today, but you should be able to get the win. Those 3 best bets tuck us in, and that is it for today's video. All right, so for today's Tuesday card, real fast, what we're going with is Georgia on the money line against South Carolina, a bubble team that should be able to get it done. Our second best bet is going to be the Warriors team total over 112.5. Just a little bit too low of a line for considering how the Warriors have been playing. And remember, Steph loves Madison Square Garden. He's had some of his best performances there. So I do like that as well, especially the way that he's playing right now. And then finally, our money line parlay. Vermont is the main solid leg that we want here. And then we're building around with it with 2 teams that should be able to get it done. North Carolina is on the bubble, and then VCU still has a lot to play for with the conference number 1 seed still up for grabs. That is what we're going for here on this Tuesday episode of the Free 3. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. We're here every single weekday breaking down our favorite picks and plays of the day. For more added plays, make sure you're following us here on the Action Network at Noble Living. I will add a few more tailed best bets. Guys, we've been dialed in. You see these green. That's what we want as we're getting ready for conference tournament time and the NCAA tournament. I appreciate all the love and support that you guys will continue to share here. Make sure you drop a comment. Ron, I see you, bro. DM me back on Twitter. I need your Vimo, bro. You've won our sweep, our giveaway for the sweep go around. And again, if we sweep the board and you comment, I'm going to make sure I Venmo some people some money. All right, guys? Let's get after it. Let's get to that cheddar. Dictate your fate, and I'll see y'all in tomorrow's video. Later, guys.